to business. Let's pass this bill and get on with it.
5 minutes, Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and it is indeed a pleasure to rise and speak to, well, since I spoke to it last, actually, it's changed its name. It's the Callaghan Innovation Bill. And I do just want to point out, though, before I speak on the detail of the bill, Mr Speaker, that really I think that last speech said it all from a government MP, that this bill is so devoid of vision and so devoid of something that's desperately needed by this country that all the last member could do was rehearse, in fact, what is already happening in this country. What is already happening, that's all he could do in his speech was rehearse research that's already been undertaken. So I have to ask that member, what does he think this bill actually lends and improves the situation, unless that government so lacks ambition from this country that it thinks that everything that's going on now is just fine and dandy. Because on this side of the House, certainly within the Labor camp, we don't want to see the continuation of a flatlining economy that has been led by that government. We think that actually we need to boost the economy. And the Prime Minister once said he was going to supercharge the economy. That's what he once said, he was going to supercharge it. And I'm sorry, Mr Speaker, Labor is supporting this bill, but this by no stretch of the imagination supercharges the economy in the way that the Prime Minister once used to say he wanted to do. But then the Prime Minister once used to say and once used to promise a brighter future for this country, and I notice he stopped using that particular phrase, and so he should. Because I think that when he promised the brighter future, not in just the most recent election, but the one before that again, so 5 years later, the New Zealand public now sees that the brighter future was something of a sham, because they didn't expect that it meant selling the state assets down the tubes, they didn't expect that it meant increasing class sizes, and they didn't expect that it meant cutting funding for early childhood education. But, Mr Speaker, I do want to talk about Sir Paul Callaghan, because he was a remarkable New Zealander. And I think it's actually a little bit of a shame that something this lightweight has been used in his name, because what I knew of Sir Paul Callaghan was that he was a man who was well thought through in his thinking, and that when he talked on an issue and saw what a future really should look like for New Zealand, he took a comprehensive approach to it, not a piecemeal approach to it like this bill does. It really just tries to make a symbolic attempt at making it look like the government is doing something serious to improve science and innovation in this country, when in fact all it is actually doing is establishing a new statutory Crown entity. In supporting this bill, I guess Labor asks, will it do any harm? And the answer is probably it won't do any harm. But will it do any good? Well, we don't believe that it will do much good in terms of the serious issues that confront this country at the moment. Mr Speaker, I come from a really important part of our country when it comes to science and innovation, the Waikato. And in the mighty Waikato, we are really proud of the science capacity and the research capacity we have, particularly with regards to the production of food, because we do actually consider ourselves to be the food bowl of New Zealand, and we have the smarts to go with it. When Labor was in government, Mr Speaker, there was a proposal that was being worked on by the name of the Smart Food Network that actually would have joined up a whole series of innovations across the country, not a new Crown entity, without scientists even being involved in it, which is what this bill proposes, but actually an on-the-ground innovation that would have worked directly with small companies to join together so that they could have the capacity to actually test out their ideas, their new innovations in a manufacturing sense. Now, this bill appears to me to be an afterthought of a different attempt at doing exactly that. But that attempt was stopped in its tracks by this current government. That was an approach that I think would have made a much quicker and more comprehensive difference to the innovation and research going on in this country. Mr Speaker, I am standing to support this bill. I think it's woefully inadequate and it's not the path to the brighter future.
Mr Speaker.
Stephen Browning.